Thank you so much, Miriam, for inviting me and for allowing me to participate on Zoom. I know that was super hard, but your team worked really big together to figure this out. I really wanted to be there. I am joining you from London, which is on the territory of Dish with One Spoon, where I represent the beautiful riding of London West. I'm in my second term. And I just like Emma, I thought about what I was going to share. And I personally don't know Anne, didn't get to meet her, but she sounds like a wonderful person, someone that I probably would have loved to know. But maybe I'll share a little story about who I am and how I know Miriam as well, because I met Miriam when she was the Minister of Rural Communities, I think, at that point. And I'm not from a rural community. London is a I think I'd say mid-sized city. We have over 500,000 residents now, but it hasn't always been like that. And we've come a long way to get to that place. And one of my first engagement with Miriam was really advocating for broadband and connection for internet. And maybe, so I want to ask you a question, actually. I'll ask a question to the room. When you think about the decisions that shape your life, the policies that affect your health, your pay, your safety, your family, the budgets that determine what gets funded and what gets cut, the laws that protect you or fail to, and you just kind of think about that, take a second and think about that, and now ask yourself, who do you think was in the room when those decisions were made? I think that for most of human history, the answer didn't always include women. And when it did include women, it often did not include women who looked like me or who sounded like me or who came from where I came from. So I was born in Burundi. I'm a Francophone. I'm a Black woman. I've been elected in the City of London since 2018 as the first Black woman to be elected on City Council and at the federal level. And I say this because in my first term as a city councilor, I encountered a really interesting challenge. So I met Miriam on a Zoom call as well, because we're in the middle of a pandemic, advocating for access to internet. And I remember my first budget, actually, at City Council. We were dealing with an issue around Wi-Fi hotspots. I don't know if you guys have those in your community in Peterborough, but and I imagine, 5 years later, internet should have significantly improved. But we didn't have a connection around everywhere in London, and we still don't. We're kind of gradually growing it, but there were parts of London that were not well connected. And this was right before it was leading into the shutdown. And on my first item of budgeting, I made a case for, over 3,000 emails that we had received from community members. And if you can imagine, like City Council, getting people to engage on an issue is very hard. And having 3,000 letters and people who have engaged on an issue, it's a big deal. And most people were seniors, they were women, they were newcomers, they were students, people from all kinds of walks of life who just wanted to say, like, hey, don't get rid of the Wi-Fi hotspots. We need them. I need them. I need them to, look up information for my newborn, or I need them to be able to study at home. And there was actually a wait list on this program at the Library of London, where I think the wait list was like 2,000 or 3,000 people. And City Council at the time, a group of men wanted to remove this. It only cost us, every Londoner, I think about 43 cents. And I was like, I'm happy to pay 43 cents for people to have access to this internet option. In fact, we should increase it and make it more accessible to the 3,000 other people who are waiting on the wait list. So maybe we should be having a conversation around how do we, move our budgets around to make sure that people have access to the internet. And everybody kept saying that it was just a luxury, that they didn't deserve to have that. And that was like a few weeks before the pandemic hit, and parents were pushed into their homes to try and figure out how to help their kids stay connected and stay in school and in class in the middle of a pandemic, where we were all disconnected from our families, disconnected from the world. And internet was not a luxury at that point, but to some people's visions that it was. So there was a move to kick me off of council at that point. A motion was put forward. Well, I was asked to take, I made some comments. Maybe it was a little radical. I thought it was a very important issue. I may have inflated some comments that made someone feel that I was calling them racist, which I did not, and that was not my intention. But I did say if the shoe fit, they could definitely put in their feet. And I was asked to take it back. I didn't. And when I didn't, I was asked to leave council, and they couldn't take me out, so they had to move a motion. A motion was put forward. Essentially, before we voted on the motion, a lawyer came to talk to all of us and let us know that it was illegal to do that. And the motion did not pass, but 4 people still voted for the motion. And you can imagine the stress of that. I'm 28 years old, I think, at the time, 28, 29. First time doing politics, really pushed through to be the first Black woman to be at that table. And I was about to be silenced on a budget. We're elected to do budgets. That's what we do. And I think about, I'm a little older now, who I am at that time, who I was at that time, and who I am today. And I think I want more of that Arielle to be at every single table of decisions, because that's where the decisions are being made. And if we didn't have, I know it may seem like I was being heroic. I wasn't. I actually felt like I was fed up at that point. And if that was the way I was going to exit council, I was very happy to exit. I was terrified. I think I didn't touch my phone for a few days. I felt like I did something wrong, even though I knew I didn't do anything wrong. But when my mom, who's very critical of me, said, "I think you did the right thing," I kind of felt safe to just walk away from council and walk away from everything. But in hindsight, it was the thing that connected me to so many other people and brought me to even bigger tables to be able to continue to make decisions for regular people like myself and many women who are in this room, mothers, young people, seniors, and many other people who look like me who don't have that spot at that table. So I think about that. I think about those things when I walk into a room and when I walk into a decision-making room. And I'm so grateful that there were women like Miriam who were at that table and also fighting for the same things that we're fighting for. And I remember one of the things I had shared with her was, we need more internet in London, Ontario. And we do now. And, internet is still very expensive in Canada, but it's no longer a conversation around whether it's luxury or an accessible service that we should offer to the community. So I'll leave my comments at that as you ponder and continue to celebrate International Women's Day on the last day of the month. Happy International Women Month.
Thank you so much, Arielle. So I don't know how many of you watch council proceedings, how many of you watch CPAC for fun, but one of the things Ann did was keep an eye on the proceedings. And she would text me when I was in office, and I know she serial texted you, Emma, and for sure you, Joy, and any woman who's in a position of influence, not during the things, of course, but following. If you got a gut punch in the meeting where they all gang up on you, or an awful headline, women like Ann, people like Ann, make it possible to take a deep breath and keep pushing for the things that you stepped into these places for in the first place. You can be those people for women like Arielle, Emma, Joy, Noor, who step up into the arena, often ready to do all the good, but I know I was unprepared for all the heat that came my way. So I'm grateful for Arielle for taking time out of her constituency week to talk to us, because she's one of those women that we all ought to support better, because she's there fighting for all of us.